that it would end soon, and we could provide an avenue for teachers and students to get better versed with online learning modes. Months into the lockdown, it's far from letting up. The country is facing a pandemic of a scale that we have never imagined. And today, more than ever, today's topic holds a lot of value, a lot of importance, because all of us are expected to be resilient, to bounce back from this pandemic we are going through. The image that you see on the screen is perhaps one of sport's greatest bouncing back stories. This was the famed Rumble in the Jungle match between George Foreman and Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali, the 4-1 underdog, was aged 32, taking on Foreman, who was 25 years old and much stronger. In round 8 of what was supposed to be a 15-round match, Muhammad Ali knocked out George Foreman. Jonty Rhodes was diagnosed with epilepsy at the age of 6 years. He overcame that, went on to become not only one of cricket's all-time greatest fielders, but also representing his country in hockey as well. Closer home, Mansur Ali Khan Pataudi lost one of his eyes and 6 months later made his debut for the Indian Test team against England. Tunbridge Wells 1983, Kapil Dev walked out to bat when India was reeling at 9 for 4 wickets, single-handedly scoring 175 unbeaten runs, taking India to the semi-finals and eventually lifting the cup for India. In the world of sports and various other walks of life, such tales of resilience are abound. However, today, we talk to educators, we talk to people who have, at a very personal level, overcome tremendous odds and emerged victorious, and principals of schools who teach their students every day to show resilience, to develop resilience. Before we introduce our speakers to you, we at Notebook are an EdTech brand. We use short, crisp videos to help students learn their school topics better. What I will do now is play a small mashup of some of the Notebook videos so that you know exactly what is it that we do.
नमस्ते बच्चों, नोटबुक में आपका स्वागत है। इस नए वीडियो को आपके सामने प्रस्तुत करते हुए हमें बेहद खुशी हो रही है। हमारा उद्देश्य है परंपरागत शिक्षा को आधुनिक तरीके से पेश करना, ताकि हमारी ये नई पीढ़ी या आप सभी कहीं भी कभी भी इसे आसानी से पढ़ सकें।
Hello students, today we are going to study the story Madam Rides the Bus, written by Valli Kannan. Next, we see Valli's first experience of a moving bus. She probably also realizes that her thoughtless laughter at the animal's plight on the up journey had been insensitive.
The King Louis XVI had come to power in 1774 at only 20 years of age. The king helped the 13 American colonies gain independence from Britain. As France and Britain were arch enemies, it was categorized into 3 estates. The first consisting of its clergy, the second consisting of noblemen and aristocracy, and the third consisting of professionals, merchants, artisans and farmers.
All you have to remember is the line, "Some people have curly brown hair turning permanently black." If you memorize this line, it will help you remember the ratios all your life. How? Let's see. Some people have is a way of remembering sine is equal to perpendicular by hypotenuse.
The ball is then hit by a player and it starts to move. Let us assume that the ball moves from point of reference A to point of reference B and then on to C. The path that the ball covers between 2 points, say A and B, and then to C, is the distance covered by the ball AB plus BC. And the shortest distance covered by the ball is referred to as displacement. Here, the shortest distance is AC and is called displacement. Distance is just a number and is a scalar quantity. Displacement, on the other hand, is a vector and it is a combination of distance covered in a certain direction.
Asexual reproduction can also occur through fragmentation. In this process, the body of a multicellular parent, such as Pyrogyrra and Planaria, divides into many fragments. Then, from each fragment arises a new individual.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was some of the short clips from multiple notebook videos. We urge you to visit our site notebook.school so that you can see more than 10,000 such videos covering every topic from the school syllabus. Well, now, before we move on to the topics that we have on hand today, I would again remind you that we are now conducting an event called Expert Speak. We are inviting teachers, educators, principals to come and help us build a repository of knowledge on YouTube, where you can get on a Zoom call with us and we will be able to produce a video for you on a topic of your choosing so that you can then put out on YouTube and any other channel that you choose to share it on. Well, with those formalities now out of the way, it is my privilege to introduce to you your first speaker for the day. Our first speaker today is Mr. Philip Burrett. Mr. Burrett retired as the Deputy Headmaster from the illustrious Doon School in Dehradun after 44 years of serving in education. He served the Doon School as Housemaster, Head of Department, Dean of Student Welfare, Dean of Activities, Deputy Headmaster, Second Master and Acting Headmaster with great distinction. He also carried out a visioning exercise for the Doon School in 2011 through an in-depth study of a number of British public schools and various schools in the US. Mr. Burrett qualified as a leadership trainer at Wellington College, UK in the year 2000. He is also an athlete, an adventurer, and a naturalist. Sir, it's a privilege to have you with us. Over to you.
Bayu?
Mr. Burrett, sir?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because it's raining very heavily outside, so I was thinking.
Right.
Okay, so what I want to start with is, if you can play that first image, Subayu. Yeah, I was wondering what this image would conjure up for most of you out there. Do you see a tree swaying in the wind? Or maybe you see a tree planted wrongly? Or do you see a tree that survived the buffeting of strong coastal winds and adapted by bending away? Much like the scars on a child's knee or the wrinkles on an old army veteran, the tree speaks of resilience and the ability to carry on despite obstacles. Bouncing back, or the quality of resilience, is the ability to withstand or hold more. While there may be some of us who are naturally more resilient than others, it is a trait that can be learned, that can be developed. Every fall, every rupture, setback, or a failed experiment that is followed by recovery and a reconnect with safety builds resilience. Remember that glass shatters, but rubber springs back. If we are resilient, we will bend. But if we are too rigid and fragile, we may break. An image from my childhood was the English lesson about Robert Bruce, the Scottish king, who after his defeat went into hiding. And then he learned something about bouncing back when he saw a spider trying to climb up the strand of silk it had left. And each time the spider almost made it to the top, it would slid back and he would start off all over again. I learned a lesson from this because Robert brushed off all self-pity and went off and won his throne back. Another image from my childhood is that plastic doll that I'm sure most of you have played with. It was rather rounded at the bottom. And every time it was pushed down, it had the ability to get up on its own. It just stood up because of the center of gravity. It wasn't magic. And child psychologists tell us that a bit of frustration is good for children. It makes them self-reliant. And this training in frustration can start early. So every time a child cries for something, it is sometimes good to let him or her figure out for themselves instead of rushing in to assist. It is even good to let a child wait for his bottle of milk because crying never killed anyone. And we've all heard that famous cliche that whatever never kills us only makes us stronger. At the same time, too much frustration may be as bad as no frustration at all. Hence, the middle path is the best. It is the optimum frustration that builds this bouncing back trait, whereas too much giving in or frustration may be detrimental. Teaching children to feel and recognize all their emotions, whether it's happiness, joy, sadness, discomfort, and to turn towards our pain and to learn from it is important, while at the same time being compassionate with oneself. Many adults protect their children from the negative emotions and the hardships of life. And what the child picks up is that hardships are bad. They have to be escaped from. But there is so much we can learn from failure, the bad days, the adversity, and how to hang in there. Now, we've all heard about the law of delayed gratification. And this is something that we have to sort of inculcate in our children. You know, in this generation, it's very quick fix, fast foods. Learn Spanish in 2 weeks. This generation cannot wait for things. And to work for success, to learn to do without, is the best thing that we can teach our children. Now, many years ago, there was this fantastic experiment that was conducted at Stanford in 1970. It was called the Marshmallow Experiment. To be very brief, 40 children were studied over a 40-year period. Now, the experiment consisted of a group of young children in a classroom at a desk, and each was given a marshmallow and told not to eat it for 15 minutes. If they did not touch the marshmallow, they would get 2 when the teacher came back. And what do you think happened? Obviously, many children ate the marshmallow. Some ate half, but some of them resisted the eating of the marshmallow, and they got 2 when the teacher came back. Now, when they were studied for over a 40-year period, they learned that the children who could resist the eating of the marshmallow, in other words, delayed their gratification, always scored higher in SAT scores, did better in work, and were more successful. Thus, we need to hold the tension, this tension between the id and superego, this wanting something and not being able to get it, this ability to get up and catch up. Now, talking about catching up, and I know initially there was this lovely, Shabayu took us through George Frazier and Muhammad Ali, but looking at the world of sports, I remember Mo Farah falling on the track at the London Olympics in 2012, and he still got up to win. And these days I'm watching the Tour de France 2020, and I see so many of these riders who fall, crash, bleed, and catch up with the group, the peloton, and cycle home. This getting up and catching up doesn't apply to the field of sports alone. If you look at the life of Malala Yousafzai, who recovered from being shot in the face by the Taliban to win the Nobel Prize, it applies to those cancer survivors who fought off the fear of chemo and side effects to live on. Those mothers who had so many miscarriages, who went on to have healthy kids. The businessmen who failed to succeed in the end. Those inventors who tried for years and never gave up. Even those writers who had to wait till their late years for that bestseller. So many stories of students who have reappeared in exams that have knocked them down repeatedly, but have got up and succeeded. Now, to people who were abused as children, so many of these famous singers have been abused as children. They all got up and are now successful. And what does it all take? The ability to never let the incident shatter one, not to feel shame and embarrassment, not to heed all those scornful moments, but to maintain that self-belief to overcome. Now, it comes from the fact that we believe that we are bigger and better than we think we are, and more than our failures and weaknesses. Now, what can we do to build resilience in children? Let's learn from the natural world. Now, if you look at birds waiting to leave the nest when their wings are ready, our children too are young and helpless and need all the parental support they can get. But eventually, they must be weaned off this support. And if we are to produce resilient children, else we may be producing a generation of entitled, spoiled children who will never help, who will always expect help whenever they fall, or they will blame others for their failures. As teachers and adults, our responsibility to our children is to build resilience, to allow them to fail, to get frustrated, and to help them up again. Now, in our last webinar, which was on helicopter parents, I began to think of the fear that underlies the need for parents and caregivers to rush in to rescue kids. And in this last webinar, I did mention that this stems from a lack of trust that children can manage and handle their own problems. And I think that parents need to take the building up of resistance in their children as seriously as they take their dental treatment and their tennis coaching. For example, sending children on summer camps and adventure camps away from home is a wonderful way of separating them from their parents. The other day I read about 7 basic skills that we all need to teach our children before they get to the age of 7. And one of those skills is called the wobble skills. It's this ability like that doll I showed you a little earlier, the doll that wobbles and straightens up. I think it's one of the important skills that we must teach our children. Another thing I must tell you is that I have read that to become an expert at anything, it takes between 6,000 and 10,000 hours of training. There are no shortcuts to success in this journey. And of course, this journey of 10,000 hours is fraught with failure and frustration. And unless we are willing to get up, we are never going to be successful. And all those children who do music, chess, or sport have learned that they have to wait for success. Now, there are other ways in which one can build resilience. For example, Shibayu, can I have that slide up again? The next slide. Shibayu? Yeah, the next one, Shibayu. Shibayu? Yeah, okay. So, not this one, okay. Now, there are some ways in which you can
Sorry, sir, if you could just guide me to the... Sorry, sir. If you could just guide me.
No. Don't play this one now, Shibayu. This comes a little later.
Sorry about that.
The previous one.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much, Shibayu.
No worries.
So there are some scientific ways to build resilience. The first one I would say is to change the narrative. You know, when something knocks us down, we still have to look for the silver lining. Maybe what happened was a blessing in disguise. Let's look at the brighter side of the pandemic lockdown. The air is cleaner. We hear the birds. We have more time with our families. So let's change the narrative sometimes. The second is let's face our fears. If your fear is public speaking, we need to speak in small audiences. We must learn to speak in public more. We must practice self-compassion. Look at ourselves, you know, with much more compassion. Let's not be too harsh on ourselves. We must stop blaming ourselves for what happened. Meditation and mindfulness is another way that scientists say helps with building resilience. And the last one would be forgiving others. Often our suffering and downfall may be caused by others. We need to forgive them and move on. Often our obsession to blame others prevents us from moving on. You know, so another one is that a study in 2012 by Dr. Steve Southwick and Dennis Charney. So why you the next slide, please? Yeah, so this study came up with 10 qualities that people who have great resilience show. And I'll just quickly go through this. They have a realistic attitude. They have a clear moral compass, a set of values. They have spiritual faith. They draw lessons from their own traumatic experiences. They have strong social support network. They have resilient role models. They welcome challenges and believe they can find solutions. They develop active coping skills. They care for their physical well-being. They train regularly and rigorously in multiple areas. And they recognize and foster their strength, using them to deal with challenging situations. Another good way of building resilience in children is a very simple skill that I learned from my sister. They are the I can skills. This is the next slide, Shubhaj. Thank you so much. The I can skills, the I have skills, and the I am skills. The I can skills are about abilities, are skills and talents. So let's say, for example, a child says, I can redo the homework. I can practice later at night. This is important to build the I can skills, the abilities. The I have skills is all about support, my family and friends. I have teachers to turn to. And the last one is the I am skills, which is about qualities of courage, perseverance, discipline. These are what I have. And I think it's important to let children develop the I can, the I have, and the I am skills. The pandemic times have taught us the ability to bounce back. We have been faced with a situation which we've never experienced. Businesses have been lost, schools have been shut down, travels have been restricted, mobility curtailed, dreams shattered. And yet, have we not bounced back and done something with our lives? All of us, from online classes and digital learning to self-help, online marketing of our expertise. And finally, give a thought to those millions of poor people who walked thousands of kilometers to their villages without food and money. I'm amazed at the human ability to fight back adversity. And let us take this opportunity to show our children that we can learn from difficult times. I want to end with a very, very small, well-known prayer that the Alcoholics Anonymous read out at all their sessions. Again, the Alcoholics Anonymous are a tremendous group that have shown resilience, And so this prayer, which is the last slide, goes something like this. O Lord, give us the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thank you very much, Sabayu, and all those who have been listening in. And I look forward to hearing from our esteemed panel, as well as Achin. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for that wonderful presentation, and my apologies for the mix-up on the slides. I believe that there was a slight lag, might be because of the weather, but I think the point was driven home very, very strongly. I believe everybody now understands with that introduction on the importance of resilience in our lives. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to introduce to you your next speaker. Our next speaker is Auchin Bhattacharya. Auchin is the founder and CEO of Notebook. A chartered accountant by training, Auchin was a director at Deloitte prior to starting Notebook. He has worked in India and abroad in various senior capacities in GE, PwC, KPMG, and Deloitte. Auchin is an avid reader and a passionate traveler with a keen interest in economics, history, literature, and philosophy. He is a regular speaker at various forums and chambers of commerce and also contributes articles to numerous publications regularly. He is also on the board of some of the most renowned corporates and contributes significantly to their brand strategies. Auchin, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Shubha, am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
I once again welcome all of you to today's session on a topic which defines and determines our strength to not only face adversities, but also to overcome them. Life, as we all know, is not a bed of roses. It's a roller coaster ride where all of us have to go through our own share of highs and lows. Thus, what's most important is the never say die attitude. It's important not to give up or quit. Life's most successful comebacks are challenging, grueling, and seemingly impossible. Bouncing back is often synonymously used with situations that require a great strength of motive or resolve to accomplish. You can test a bouncing back victory in football when your team is 2-0 down and yet it wins. The weakest student in a class of 40 in mathematics in early years could grow up and pursue a research and scientific career in the same subject. Life unfolds many surprises with people bouncing back from unimaginable circumstances and humans conquering invincible feats and larger than life challenges. However, before we deliberate further on this topic, let me extend a very warm welcome to our esteemed panelists who are here today to share their thoughts and experiences on this very important topic. Now, the gentleman whom you see on your screen, Bruce Lee, a master trainer, martial artist, director, and philosopher in his own right, left us with a glaring example of a sensational comeback in life post his injury to the sacral nerves in his spine during a light morning training session in 1969. Doctors declared to Lee that he would be unable to practice martial art or even walk normally. A super trainer of his own mind, Bruce developed his own plan for recovery and charted his way to a stronger immune and bone system. Bruce believed in having no limitation as limitation. Lee's recovery was magical and has failed to find an explanation among doctors. What's better with bouncing back is that it fights all thoughts of impossibilities. Now, being a philosopher in his own right, the fighter often quotes, and I quote him, "To hell with circumstances, I create opportunities." Now, let me share another very inspiring story. The lady in your screen is Muniba Mazari. Muniba is a Pakistani activist, anchor, artist, model, singer, and motivational speaker, and also an United Nations Goodwill Ambassador, a front leader in women and child rights. She got married as per family tradition when she was 18 years old. Within 2 years of her marriage, she confronted a horrendous car accident that left more than half her body completely paralyzed, multiple fractures in the wrist, shoulder bones, and hospitalized for more than 2 months. Her tragedy took her through a divorce in personal life and a curse that she would never ever become a mother. In 2011, 4 years after the accident, she became mother to her adopted son, Nail Mazari. Featured as a BBC 100 Women in 2015, Under 30 Women Leaders by Forbes in 2016, Muniba continues to be a propelling force for other destitute and heartbroken women in Pakistan and around the world. Muniba says, "I never thought of being on a wheelchair. This life is a test and trial, and tests are never supposed to be easy, but giving up can never be an option." She says, "Don't die before your death. Be grateful and be alive and live every moment." Now, reflection of light causes rays to fall on an opaque surface and bounce back, such that the direction of travel changes. We see that light rays bounce back in the opposite direction. Principally, therefore, a bouncing back phenomena in science or life would require a change of direction to revitalize, revamp, or undo the damage that has been done. Thus, at times, something not working out initially may lead to much bigger pursuits. Thus, temporary disappointments may lead to a higher purpose in life, where in later years, when we sit back and reflect, and then we thank Almighty for showing us the bigger picture. If Jack Ma would not have been rejected in multiple job interviews, now Jack Ma applied for 30 different job interviews and was rejected by all, the founder of Alibaba. To quote him, "I went for a job with the police. They said you are no good." Ma told his interviewer Charlie, And again, to quote him, I even went to KFC when it came to my city. 24 people went for the job, 23 were accepted. I was the only guy rejected. Probably Alibaba would never have been born, and Jack would not have been the global ambassador for Chinese businesses. He's often listed as one of the world's most powerful people, with Forbes ranking him 21st on its world's most powerful people list. He also serves as a role model for startup businesses. In 2017, Mao was ranked second in the annual world's 50 greatest leaders list by Fortune. The other times, something not working out is God's way of telling us that we are meant for bigger things. What's more important is that bouncing back may not always be interpreted as a change of direction. It could simply imply shifting from an existing plane to a higher platform of learning or opportunity. A country's day of freedom from political oppression, a major victory in sports, a discovery or innovation, a PhD thesis that leaves an indelible footprint among researchers across the globe. A globally successful entrepreneur who had humble beginnings are all real-life examples of the topic we are discussing today. The bouncing back trait can be very instinctive. There are some people who soar and refuse to sit back, sigh, and wait for things to change. There are others who do not visualize themselves as quitters. Being resilient have been known to be a great virtue that allows you to make your own choices, learn your own lessons, drive your life towards your goals. Such goals may not be visible, but they are uncompromisingly ingrained in your basic system of psychological and emotional being. Resilience may push you to be open to newer ideas, adapt to more demanding situations, and set new standards, not necessarily to compete with others, but to challenge your own thoughts and achieve newer heights. I believe teachers have a very important role, a huge role in teaching resilience to children. There are multiple ways of doing so, and I'm sure that our esteemed panelists today will throw more light on this. Qualities like self-belief, optimism, and emotional awareness and social support go a long way to develop resilience. Also, it's important to be able to take risk. I think this is very important, most important. Ability to take risk and take challenges head on when the circumstances demand so. It's really important to take care of yourself and never lose your composure and self-belief. It's important to, to acknowledge the issue before we attempt to solve the same. Unless until we come to terms with the problem, how do we find a solution? Also, it's very important to unconditionally accept yourself. Also, I think drawing inspiration from past achievements, because nothing succeeds like success. So drawing inspiration from past achievements is a great confidence booster. At times, when we can't control the whole situation, and there are times like that, right? Suddenly we feel nothing is working for us. Thus, at those times, it's really to focus on the right direction. The key ingredient of being able to bounce back would mean conquering your fears. Your fears stand between your compromised circumstance and your goal. So as long as you let your fears drive you, the goals remain at a distance, appears lofty and invincible. So it's important to conquer your fears. With this, I really thank all of you for giving me a patient hearing. and I look forward to hear from our esteemed panelists on this very important topic. Over to you, Shubhai.
Thank you, Achin. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. I think between you and Mr. Burrett, we now have the perfect introduction to the speakers who are going to follow. And ladies and gentlemen, it is now my privilege to introduce to you our first guest speaker today. Our first guest speaker is Ms. Pino Grover. Ms. Grover holds a graduation with physics, chemistry, and biology and a post-graduation in botany, along with a B.Ed degree. She holds the B and C certificates from the National Cadet Corps or the NCC. She received letters of commendation for her devotion to NCC duties and participated in the Republic Day Parade in Delhi in 1988. She was also adjudged the best NCC cadet at the district level in 1988. She completed annual training camp all-wing NCC in 1987 and achieved the first position in a cross-country race. She is the gold medalist in the firing competition at Basic Leadership Camp held at Shantiniketan, West Bengal in 1987. She completed the trekking expedition of NCC at national level to Nilgiri Hills in 1986 and completed the horse riding training in NCC in 86-87. She was also adjudged the best dancer at her school for 1984-85. She participated at school and college level in many sports activities like badminton, kho-kho, basketball, and athletics. She started her teaching career in 1994 and worked with various schools. She has taken projects for science exhibition at a national level for CBSE. She is presently working as the principal of the Maharani Kishori Devi Girls' School in Bikaner. She has been the part of CBSE inspection team for school affiliations many a times, and she has worked as a city coordinator for conducting many exams for NTA. Ma'am, it's our privilege to have you with us today. Over to you.
Thank you for that lovely introduction. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. So before I start saying anything, I would just like to share my screen. I think there are two pictures on my screen. They speak volumes. On one side, you can see there are mountains and valleys. And on the second side, you can see there is a straight line. So these mountains and valleys denoting the ups and downs, actually these are our heartbeats, which are showing that we are alive. And this straight line shows that we are dead. Actually, this is what life is all about. When we talk about resilience, we talk about bouncing back. We actually, in every day, we are bouncing back from something or the other. Today, I want to go in a different way about talking about the life experiences of my own self, because I think that is the best way to explain the experiences rather than talking about somebody else's experiences. So here on the screen, you can see a lovely girl at the age of 1 year and few months sitting with her elderly brother. Her name was Soumya. At this tender age, she suffered with cancer. Now, the mother had two options: to fight, and she started fighting for her life. She was taken for the treatment. Every day therapies, chemotherapies, radiotherapies, and the life could have been a burden for the mother and the child both. And so there was a point to decide on. So the decision was that the treatment has to go on, but the other thing was to keep the child happy, to make her feel what life is all about. So everyday mornings were treatments, and everyday evening was enjoying learning. The child could not go to the school because of the treatments and everything. So she started learning from the experiences of her life. Here you can see her sitting with her brother in the evening on the Jew beach. But When she came back, her treatment was over, and she was admitted in the school so that she could have a normal life. You can see her here with her friends in the school. Life was a bit different for her. And the teachers were told that she had been operated on her face. She has been undergoing the treatment, so she needs to be treated with little bit of compassion. And the teachers were very humble. This was a learning experience for them also to treat a child with a difference in a different way, but at the same time make her mingle with the students so that she can experience the normal life. But lives were not that fortunate for this little Soumya. She, the cancer relapsed. She underwent surgery thrice, and ultimately one day she had to say goodbye to the life. The thing was that the situations were never in our hand. The mother had one more child to look up to. The situations made her understand that we have to look at the things, though she was shattered, but then she had to understand the situations, learn from them, and instead of dwelling on the circumstances and in self-pity, after some time she had to get up and learn that she has to keep her face smiling, and it is the attitude which is going to pay everything. So that was the attitude towards the life. But apart from that, the fate is always there, which gives you challenges time and again. So there were other challenges coming up in the life. I forgot to tell you something, that this mother, in her childhood, she had already lost her own mother because of the same disease. So she wanted to share the mother-daughter relationship with her daughter, but then she was shattered because though she had lost her mother in early childhood, she lost her daughter as well. So life was shattering. But then you have to get up, because sometimes defeat is the best beginning, as there is no way but only to get up and move on. So she had to come back. But I'm talking about the life story. After some time, few years back, in 2009, she herself had to feel the same experience. I'm so sorry. I think something I'll have to. She herself came across with the same disease, and there was nothing left. She had to leave her job again and fight for her own self. When she had already lost her daughter, she was back into the life. She had normalized herself, but then coming to the same disease for her own self, again sitting back home, shattered her back again. But then she took this as an opportunity. She started painting. She started writing poetry. She started cooking and took life in a positive way, because healing was important, and she could not join immediately her job. And after a year, her husband suffered from neurological disease, and this was again a setback, which made her realize that she can't keep on sitting. She'll have to get back to the life. And she started working back, and she took it as a challenge that she will come back with great vigor. And she started working. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are talking to the principal of Maharani Kishori Devi Girls School, Bikaner, talking about our own life. But this was not the end. in 2017, though she had already started working as a principal with this very school and honored about my own management because they had a confidence that I'll be working well, though they were knowing that the disease which I was suffering from, the regular checkups which I had to go through. But still, I was given this opportunity and I availed this opportunity to work at the best level. But what came in 2017 was that one day, very fine morning, I was there in my class and I got a call from home that you have to come back home because your husband has been diagnosed with liver cancer. It has already spread in his liver and his pancreas. And I came to know that there are only 6 months left for life. This was the biggest challenge, how to look at it. The first thing was that I had to keep him positive. So he was not told about it that he doesn't have time, because the first thing which came as a shock was that I was told by my doctors that he has only 6 months to survive. So there were two things. I could have shattered myself. I could have left everything sitting there with all the fears of what is coming up. And the second thing was to struggle. So I chose the second option, that we are going to fight for that 0.2% of survival chances. And we started with the treatments, whatever was possible. And the second motive which was there was to keep those 6 months lively for him. Whatever best could be done to make life good for him was the only motive at that time. So the motive changed. But along with that, there was a challenge that you have to survive. You have to survive as the principal of your school, and you have to keep a balance in life, because there is somebody who is depending upon you, and that is your only son who's there with you. So that management was very important, and I took the challenge. But the things did not stop there. After 3 months, though I was a survivor, I had a severe stomach ache, and the diagnosis was that I had to undergo immediate surgery. It was not difficult to go for a surgery because I had undergone surgeries before also, but the only challenge was that my husband was already undergoing chemotherapies and he was bedridden and he really needed care. So only thing was that I had to ask my doctor that can I get 3 months so that his therapies could be over and then I can go for my treatment and my surgery. But the answer was capital A no, that there are no options but 200% chances that you have to take surgery within 5-10 days. But ultimately, with the positive face and a smiling face, I had to leave everything to him at home, and I said, I'll be coming back within 10 days. You just wait. And went for my surgery. With all the complications of the surgery, I was back home, but waiting for my biopsy reports. Now there were two things. The job, which I knew that in any case I'll have to continue. That anxiousness of about what will be coming in my reports. And third thing was that I had to help my husband out because he was literally in a severe condition. So first option was that in any case, look after him and help him. And because I knew he was having less time, mine was uncertain, and balancing of the job. So, and within 10 days, I came to know that God had not been very kind, but I was suffering. And the report said that I will again have to undergo the therapies. It was the month of November. We had our annual function scheduled in the month of December. And my husband's therapies were also supposed to end in the month of December. So I had to make a decision that what to be done, because there will be two failures if I go for immediate therapy. So I chose to wait. That if something has to wait, it will wait. The function was done, the annual function was done, the exhibition was done. My husband's therapies were over, and the day when he had his last therapy, I went to Delhi AIM because earlier my treatment was from there, and took my brought my treatment from there to start with my therapies. My staff was not knowing about it, that what's going on in my life. So I had to keep a brave face and started with my own therapies. There was a time when me and my husband both were on the same bed taking our treatments. And my only motive was, as soon as my therapy was over, I had to get up and I had to help him out. So I think that was the motivation factor which kept me alive and which was always there, that I have to fight back and get onto my feet at the earliest possible. And I really did not want to take leave. So at night, there were therapies. In the morning, 11 o'clock, I was in my school every day. My staff was not knowing that even I was undergoing therapy. They came to know after my fourth therapy was done. And I don't know what lesson the God was trying to give. On 29th of April, 2018, I lost my husband. And on 5th of May, the NEET exam was scheduled, for which I was the center superintendent. His chotha was done, the ritual was done. And I was back in my school on the very 5th day, because this responsibility was there. I could have left it. I could have said, enough is enough, I don't want to do it. But then I had to make myself understand that I can sit at home, but that will not take me anywhere. I have to move forward, and I have to fight with great vigor with the life. I have to convert my disgust into inspiration, and I cannot go into depression, because there was one innocent face which was looking at me. That was my son, who had already lost his sister, who had already lost his father, and his mother was not well. He knew this. So I know what he was going through, and that was an inspiration for me to keep on moving. So the door has to open once you decide to get back on your feet and make your mark in your own enlightened self-interest. So give a run at adventure. And so I had to keep my eyes firmly set on my goal, that I have to keep moving. So I think that was the only achievement at that time. So, and I could not indulge into self-pity and for my mere existence. So I committed myself that I am going to fight with whatever comes, and I will get back to get something better in my life. So I survived what was meant to destroy me. I came back like a boss. I should not be using this word, but yes, I am the leader of my team. I have more compassion with me right now, and I feel that I have grown wiser with the baggage of experiences of my own life, and I'm stronger than ever. So though I lost my daughter, but here in this picture you can see my lovely daughters. I have 2,000 lovely daughters in my school. So they are the motivational factor for me to keep on moving. So with this experience of my life, as I told you that when I was sitting at home for 3.5 years, I had started painting. So here you can see one of my paintings, which I had done at that time, and I really loved it. So what I want to say here is, life will not throw challenges according to our wish. We cannot have the path we want to travel. So whatever way, whatever path is given to us, accept it as a challenge, fight the best way you can, and have faith in yourself. Believe, no matter you fail, you will feel shattered at times that there is nothing to be done. But then every day, as it's already been said, is a new day. We don't live once, we live every day. We only die once. So I don't want to travel to my graveyard safe in a coffin. I want to live every day. I want to accept the challenges which the life is throwing, so that when I move out of this world, somebody will say, yes, that was the life worth living. So this is what we have to teach to our children. Every day the life is going to throw challenges on us. Every day we will have to fight back, and every day we will be bouncing back. So this is what, according to me, was resilience for my life. Sometimes shattered, sometimes low, sometimes high, but then there was always a attitude that I have to keep on moving. And once we have this positive attitude with us, the optimism with us, I think none of our children will ever fail. Failing is not getting less marks in the exams. They are just the stones in the pavement. So they does not matter. What matters is that they should have that self-esteem. They should have that self-respect for themselves. Love your children unconditionally, because that's all what we can give them. And we have to see to it that whatever challenges are thrown to our life, they are a learning experience. So we are given the gift of experience, and from that we have to take action. Look at what is the best way we can survive, and we will get through. So I think I am able to convey my message in this way, that it's your life and you have to choose how you are going to live it. You don't have to be defined by your failures or let them stop you. You have to view your failures as a feedback. Look for the gift in the experience and take action on what you have learned. You will quickly begin using your setbacks as fuel for your future growth, just as highly successful people do. Because success is not what other people define for you. Success is what you see in yourself, that there was a challenge, you fought with your vigor, you tried your level best, you failed, the attempt was successful or not successful does not matter. What matters is the way you struggle. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, ma'am, for being here. I believe I speak for everybody here who's attending today, that we are all in awe of the kind of strength that you portray. We wish you great health going forward. We wish you and your son a great time going forward, because I'm sure everybody here will completely agree that you have more than earned it.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, after that absolutely amazing feat of bravery, it's time for me to introduce to you your next speaker. Our next speaker is Dr. Prgya Upadhyay. Dr. Upadhyay is an educator with over 16 years of experience in the field of education. She started her career with Delhi Public School, Aligarh, as head of the Department of English. Subsequently, she was the vice principal at Delhi Public School, Yamunanagar, for a period of 6 years. Since 2014, she is heading St. Anne's School in Dehradun. Her forte is English language teaching, teaching of psychology, as she believes that any passionate educator is a teacher come motivator. Ma'am, privileged to have you with us. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Shubayu.
Our privilege,
I
ma'am.
believe I am audible there.
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, all the beautiful souls present here. A very warm evening to each and every one. And though I'm not in a position after listening to Grover ma'am, really I'm not in a position to speak further because really ma'am, hats off to you. You are a great fighter, really. And we really wish all the best and success and great health and all happiness for you in your life. And I believe your son must also be following the same path of greatness, of bravery, being brave like a mother like you. And we wish all success. So, yeah. So now to begin with, bouncing back, so many examples have already been discussed, right from Burrett sir, then Achin sir. Everyone has come up with so many things. And do you see one thing is very common? Hello. You're audible. Am I audible?
Ma'am, we can hear you, but there's a bit of disturbance on your audio line.
Okay. Is the screen visible?
Yeah, we can see your screen now, ma'am.
So we have seen something common is that yes, we have seen so many examples discussed by Burrett sir, and Achin sir has also put forth, and right now, just before me, Grover ma'am herself. So now, very common thing is that life is full of struggles, and it's not easy. So bouncing back is the only terminology where we all get back to our life, where we all get back to form our lives, and whether it is successful, whether it is a failure, which the result, the end product, we never know, but we bounce back every time. But how do we bounce back? How do we do that? Have we ever thought of this thing? That how are we bouncing back? Now let us talk about, there are various factors. Now we have come to life. We are human beings, we have come to life. Then the second factor is parenting. At some phase of our life, we become parents, we become teachers. As parents, we are teachers as well, isn't it? I think it is going fast. So let me, I think something has happened. Mr. Shubhayu, could you please check that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. How can I help? Ma'am, we can see your screen. Right now, we are looking at a slide that says, in life, we sprout, we transform.
Yeah, but I have to go back because I was on the second slide.
Right, ma'am. If you hit Alt Tab on your computer, it will take you to the PowerPoint view. Then you can just push the up and down arrows.
Yeah, I have clicked on Alt.
Oh, ma'am, are you using a mouse by any chance?
Yeah.
If the mouse is a scroller, if you can just scroll up, it will actually go backwards in the slides.
Yeah. So at some point of time in our life, we break sometimes, and that gives us the opportunity to rebuild and grow back stronger. That is very true. And we have already seen, like Grover ma'am has also, like many times she has gone back, she has bounced back, and she has grown stronger, come back with all its strength. So the thing is that life is all about to strengthen ourselves. Now let us connect it with the Bhagavad Gita, the very example of the life transformation, though we take it as a part of the mythology, but actually it trains us, it transforms our lives in many different manners. Like for example, when we talk about the episode of Arjuna, he was like ready in the war front, and then he was requesting Krishna that he was full of anxiety and he was feeling like committing the suicide, that how to fight all those cousins, relatives, so close ones, dear ones, how could you do that? Then the mentor, Krishna, he came up and he could tell him that it is all about our actions. Whatever is happening, he cannot control that. The external movements, the external influences, he cannot control that. What he can control is his inner emotions. Whatever anxiety, whatever fear, whatever suicidal attempt, whatever things were coming, such turmoil, emotional turmoil was coming in his mind, everything he could control. So what it is all about? It is all about the resilience and the persistence we have to work on. And this is how gradually, after few preachings of Krishna ji, Arjun was back to his war front. See, we don't grow when things are easy, we grow when we face challenges. Similarly, like when we see the mountains, we see such twists and turns and we are just stepping up, and then we go to the height. We reach the highest and the topmost point. So how do we reach that topmost point? Do we reach just on a simple plane? Do we reach on a straight way? No. So this is how we have to set the examples before our children, as parents, as teachers. So what teachers do, many times they are just teaching their chapters, and they say that the period is just of 30 minutes, 35 minutes, and I have to cover up my syllabus, so on. And therefore they miss this important part. So academics, yes, of course, they are coming to study academics. They are coming to study all the course, whatever is there in the textbooks. But the values and the life skills which teachers can give, which parents can give, these are the things at the foundation stronger, resilient, persistent citizens. So we need to train them. We need to set examples before them. We need to give such lively examples, like I'm talking about the mountain. Do we just go on a simple plane and we reach the highest top? No. We have to go through many twists and turns and many ups and lows and highs, and this is how we reach at the top. Similarly, let us take an example of sun. Early morning rising sun. Everyone, majority of us must have seen. Now, does the sun directly and instantly and spontaneously come at the top? Does it instantly? No. It takes around 6 hours to come at the top. When it is like 12 noon, 12:30, then we see that it has come at the top. We can see it above our head. So what is that? Even it has taken its own time. It has taken its own patience to go through the journey and then come to that highest level at the peak. Again, what we need to teach our students, what we need to teach our children, patience, how to control ourselves, Again, another example. So life is something which is full of examples. Basically, it is just up to us how do we do it, how do we put across our students and our children as parents. Now, failure is not the opposite of success, it is part of success. Who says that I have seen parents who are cribbing, see, he has failed this time, he has not done this, he is doing this. Since we are cribbing, that is why our children become negative. And that's why they are not able to do anything else, anything further. Once we take it as a challenge, okay, fine, it's okay. It's okay to fail. It's okay if you have failed. It's fine. What does it do? What does it do? It inculcates that faith in the child that, okay, my parents still love me. They have still that affection, that bond with me. They don't hate me. Why? Because children very easily they develop this feeling. Once we tag them with the word, and they come for the PTMs, for the open houses, in front of the class teacher, in front of other parents, they slap the child. What is this? If we are not going to respect our child, how will he learn that respect? How will he learn that emotion of respect, that yes, I need to respect each and everyone in front of others. And yes, of course, first of all, in our heart. So this is again very, very important, to respect, to love, to have that faith, and to inculcate that faith in our children that yes, we still love you. It's okay that you have failed, because that will only give them the energy, that will give them the idea, that will give them the ignition to march ahead, to move forward. Oh, it's okay. We as adults, we are now, we have so grown up that we know very well, we have become very tough. Okay, fine, we can deal with the life as it comes. We have become like, champions, or you can say the players. But the same feeling, same emotion, and same temperament we need to inculcate in our children as well. And that is why we have to make them understand that since you have failed, what does this mean? It means next time you will be successful. You will be working hard. You will be achieving success someday. Just keep trying. Just keep going. I'm with you. I'm not leaving you. This is what? This is the faith that the child picks up, and he's again ready to transform. See our next slide. In life, we sprout, we transform. Yes, this is how we are. We are just like those seeds, and with time, with maturity, we sprout. And while we sprout, we learn so many things. We go through so many phases. And when we go through so many phases, then we transform. We are what we are today. And this is what we have to inculcate in our children as well. Teachers may inculcate in their students through many other examples. Parents may inculcate in their children, like Grover ma'am, she must be doing. So the thing is, we need to connect with our life, and we have to tell them it's all about mind game. It's all about controlling our mind. Now, how to control the mind? This is again a big question. Even Arjuna asked Krishna, how to control the mind? See, controlling mind is something, first of all, we need to be into practice, and we need to be detached. Now, let me give you one example. Suppose if I get diagnosed with diabetes, and the doctor says, okay, fine, you should do yoga, exercises. Second is you should take these medicines. And third is that you have to leave sugar. Please don't consume sugar, right? Okay. So what will I do? I will practice that I am doing yoga, I'm doing exercises. Second is I'm taking medicines regularly, I'm practicing that. Now, third is I have to leave sugar. That is detachment. So in order to be successful in life, in order to bounce back in your life, you have to work upon yourselves. This is important. We have to leave those things which are distracting us, which are putting obstacles in our way. We have to leave those things, those negative things. So this is called as detachment here. That though we love mithai, though we love sweets, but we have to leave, and we have to go ahead. We have to practice a lot, and this is how we can control our mind. Then here the slide says, a child is like a butterfly in the wind. Some can fly higher than others, but each one flies the best it can. Why compare one against the other? Each one is different. Each one is special. Each one is beautiful. Yes, every individual in this world is special, is different, is beautiful in his own way. And as parents, as teachers, many times teachers do this often while teaching in the classes. See his handwriting, how he has done, and see yours. What a bullshit you have written. I can't even understand it. What the teacher is doing. Teacher is trying to humiliate the other child in front of the rest of the children in the classroom. Is it correct? Is it correct? Are we inculcating the faith? Are we giving that love and respect to that child? Are we not comparing? So we need to check. Many times we feel, oh, we are great teachers. I'm really the master of my subject. I really teach very well. No one can teach so well as I can. But do you really have those teaching skills while teaching in the classroom? Do you really respect those emotions of your children? Please take care. Because always remember, your teaching can never be effective if you are not effective as a person, as a human being. So first of all, as a human being, get connected with your children. Just love your children. Just teaching automatically happens. Suppose parents have 2 children, 3 children, they come in the meeting and they say, see, our elder one does so well, and this younger one, he keeps playing, doesn't listen, and so and so and so. He is good for nothing. Not at all. Why? As we say that in God's eye, everyone is equal, we say that in the eyes of the parents, everyone is equal. Why are you comparing? Everyone has his own path. Everyone has his own destiny. And everyone has got his own talent. And everyone is special again. So one would find one's way in his own way. And I'm very happy about this new education policy, because they are really looking forward to that wherever the child is good at, we can work upon that. So let's be positive. Positivity is very important. And again, this is also the part of the mindset. See here also negative energy and positive energy. Many times we are full of negative energy. And many times, hardly it happens that we are full of positivity. Hardly. Why? Because negative energy is so dominant over us that hardly we give our way to the positive energy. But choice is ours. What do we want? We want to be negative or we want to be positive? Why? Again, the question is, we don't have any control over the external influences. Now let's talk about COVID. COVID is the external influence. Are we able to do anything about it? Vaccines are still under, though few of them have come and still few are again being designed. And what else we have done? We wear the mask, we sanitize our hands, we maintain the social distancing. So we can control ourselves, but we can't control others. We can't control the external influences or external situations. So now let's talk about adaptability, mindset, balance, aspirations, practice, and detachment. This we have already talked and we have discussed. So what is there is be guru of our own life. That is, be connected with the divine. This is very important. If you will go back, and if we remember that Burrett sir ended his slide with the prayer. Achin sir also started with the slide a prayer. Yes. So what does it tell us? Prayers are very important. They play the integral part in our lives. And once we are connected with the divine, and once divine intelligence, once divine guidance is there with us in our lives, I think things become easy. Though fully things will not get solved, but still the way becomes easy. Things start getting solved. We get the inspiration. We get stronger, and we believe, and we have to believe that we are bigger than any problem. We have to believe this. So we should run towards the problem. We should find out the root cause of the problem. Let us hold the bull by its horn. How far will it go? Let us fight. Let us be the fighter. So let us overcome the problem. And this is how this grit and determination will solve the problem. And why do we look at the problem as the problem? Why don't we look at the problem as an opportunity? Let me give you example of Steve Jobs, the CEO of Apple, well-known, renowned personality. Do you know that the company he himself set up, he was fired from that company. Steve Jobs, the CEO of Apple company, he was fired from his own company, from his own startup. So instead of feeling low, instead of thinking of committing the suicide, instead of giving up, he took it as an opportunity. He thought of that this is the time that I have to work on myself. There must be something lagging. I have to work on those phases. I have to work. And he invested time. He transformed himself, and he bounced back. And see where Apple is today. And he says that I'm going to put the dent on the world. So this is how the determination is. This is how the inner strength is. That every time, whenever life takes us back, we have to fight. We have to be a fighter, and we have to bounce back. We have to come back. So the learnings are that never ever get disturbed by the circumstances. And the last slide is there, which I will like to put again. If parents want to give their children a gift, the best thing they can do is to teach their children to love challenges, be intrigued by mistakes, enjoy effort, keep on learning. That way, their children don't have to be slaves of praise. They will have a lifelong way to build and repair their own confidence. Do you know what happens is that every time whenever we face a failure, the first emotion, first reaction which comes up is सबसे बड़ा रोग क्या कहेंगे लोग. So we are always worried about the people around us. Why? This is our life. Let us fight for it. No one else will come and fight for you. You have to be there standing strong with all strength, and you have to fight yourself. Whatever is yours, you have to face it. So the thing is, circumstances will keep revolving around us. We will keep taking the actions, and then the reactions will keep coming. It is up to us how do we handle it. So let us, this is my urge, my humble request, to my teachers, to my parents. Devote time with your children. Try to understand them. Inculcate that faith, that positivity, and that aspirational lifestyle, that practice, that detachment. Inculcate all these skills in your children so that they are resilient, persistent citizens of our future, of our country, and they build a nation much more stronger than what it is today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. I'm sure every student in your school learns from you these wonderful values that you've just spoken about. Thank you so much for being part of our initiatives today. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with that, it is now time to introduce your next speaker for the day. Our next speaker is Tapas Biala. Tapas is the founder of My Himalayan Adventure, which is a company based out of Gurugram. Tapas himself hails from Dehradun. He completed his studies from the Doon School in Dehradun and then went on to study at the Delhi University and ICFI Business School, where he did MBA. He is an avid mountaineer and he has climbed his first 20,000 feet peak at just 12 years of age. He is currently training to climb Mount Everest. Tapas, over to you.
Yeah, hi, am I audible?
Yeah, Tapas, we can hear you.
Am I audible? Hello?
Yeah,
Okay,
I can
great.
hear you, I can see you.
Hi, good evening to everyone here. Hope you're all well. First of all, thank you to all the panelists before me. That was some great insight about this particular topic. My gratitude to the team at Notebook, Achin, Subhayu, Abhishek, and Mr. Burrett for having me here. It's a pleasure. Incidentally, Mr. Burrett was my teacher in the Doon School, and under him, I learned a lot. And to you, sir, I'm very grateful for everything. I'll keep my introduction short. I am the co-founder of My Himalayan Adventure, which is an adventure company based out of Dehradun, as well as an experiential travel company called Rustic Travel, which is based out of Bangalore. I have great passion for the mountains and for mountaineering in general, largely thanks to my father, who himself is a very accomplished mountaineer, written a lot about the mountains, spoken a lot about the mountains, and including a lot of TED Talks. More on him another time. At about 8 months, when I was about 8 months old, he specially got a bag made for me, sort of with holes in them where my legs could fit. And in that bag, he carried me on my first trek. And the love for the mountains just kind of blossomed from there. It never ended. I climbed my first peak, 20,000 feet peak, when I was 12 years old. And I've managed to climb about half a dozen more peaks since then. And I hope to keep climbing a lot more. Back to this topic. Thank you for the introduction about my business. Unfortunately, I don't think, given the current business scenario, with all the uncertainty, given all the uncertainty, it would be a good time.
Tapas, there's a bit of disturbance on your audio. Sorry. Your audio seems a little disturbed.
Hold on. Is it better now?
Yeah, much better. Thank you.
Hello?
Yeah, Tapas, it's much better now. We can hear you.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Tapas, we can hear you. I don't think you can hear us.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, Tapas, we can hear you.
Sorry, I don't know what the problem is.
No, we are able to hear. I am able to hear Biala sir.
I don't think
I can't hear
Tapas is reading the chats.
Okay, if you can hear me, I'll just keep talking. Anyways, back to the topic. Like I said, business is probably not the current scenario. It's not the right time to probably talk about the business. What I can talk about and what I can reflect upon right now is how this passion for the mountains and for mountaineering helped me with another big challenge in my life. About 7 years ago, I was diagnosed with leukemia, which is a form of blood cancer. It is a treatment it is a difficult treatment with a lot of bad days. You get mentally, physically, it's probably one of the most draining, one of the most taxing things that you would typically have to go through. Everything seems a blur at that point of time. And on one of those extremely bad days when I was kind of on the verge of, asking a lot of questions, in the hospital room, my father sensed this. He kind of sort of in that hospital room started making a map of one of those treks that I love to go on, one of those routes that I really love. And sort of just started writing about just a rough hand-drawn map where sort of from here, this particular mountain is visible. From here, this particular lake is visible. But instead of going west that we would have normally done, let's go north. If we go north from here, we'll probably cross another stream. We'll probably cross another mountain. We'll probably be at the base of this glacier. And you know what? That's going to be one of the most beautiful campsites that you would have ever encountered. And that kind of immediately gave me this sense of something to look forward to in this fog of nothingness but survival, in this kind of entire blur of being in this particular hospital room. Now I know that's not a magical treatment, but hey, it can be a first step. We all need this. It can be that first step towards giving us something to look forward to, giving us something to move towards. Now I won't go too much into the detail of my treatment. The day, like I said, it was a very difficult time for anyone. There is the shock of kind of getting diagnosed for the first time. You're asking a lot of questions. You've lost a lot of faith in yourself, in your body. And at that point of time where everything seemed down, one of my friends said to me that, hey, listen, you have this problem. It's a reality. It's not going anywhere. You have to fight it. There is no other way. Now, the only question is, are you going to fight it by crying about it, or are you going to fight this by laughing about it? If you cry through it, it's going to be harder for all of us. It's going to be harder for you, obviously, because you will always be in a negative frame of mind. It's going to be harder for us too, because it'll be so difficult for us to see you through such a difficult time. Maybe if you tried laughing through it, cracking some jokes about it, sort of making lighter moments out of your treatment, you'll make it a little easier for not just us, but maybe a little bit for you as well. Again, it's not a magic treatment, but who knows? So we kind of gave it a shot, And isn't that, again, what life is about? Struggles will come and go. Maybe if we kind of just keep laughing through it, we'll create a little bit more positivity for all of us. So we kind of looked for the lighter moments, looked for the jokes that we could crack on about my treatment. And, that's probably what I'll get into a little bit now. Before I do that, I'll take a short moment to explain what a bone marrow transplant is, because it really is the source of all of these jokes. Now, if you look at a bone marrow transplant, it really has become a lifesaver for a lot of people with blood cancers and a lot of blood malignancies such as mine. A lot of diseases that were considered incurable in the past have actually become curable now, all thanks to bone marrow transplant. Now, what they do in a bone marrow transplant is, so a person like me who has a faulty bone marrow, basically the part of our body that produces our cells and produces our blood, has become faulty. So theoretically, what they want to do is find a person who is a match and replace your bone marrow with the bone marrow of that healthy person. They will give that person a few injections so that some of those cells come into the bloodstream. And in a process similar to a blood transfusion, they will extract that. And after the chemotherapy, they will inject that into the unhealthy person. Of course, in reality, it is a little more complicated. And it took me about 2 years to kind of recover from that. Anyways, for all its good qualities of, saving its life, what the bone marrow transplant has done is created a lot of side effects for me. First of the side effects is it has ended up confusing a lot of my relationships. I will explain that to you. So in my case, my sister was my bone marrow match. It was my bone marrow donor who I had a match with who I had 100% match with. Now, in medical terms, the bone marrow donor of yours ends up becoming your biological father, which means that my sister is now my father, which in effect means my father is now my grandfather. My sister is now my Masi, and my nieces are my sisters. There is perpetual confusion upon who I should call what. And when I do call someone, everyone's confused where everyone responds or either no one responds. So that is the first side effect of my transplant, which is confusing all of my relationships. On the other hand, it has given a lot of clarity to some of my relationships. So like I said, my elder sister was my bone marrow, was my donor, with whom I had a 10-on-10 match. I have another sister who also got tested for the match, for the HLA match. Unfortunately, she and I are a 0-on-10 match, which in effect would mean that she and I have nothing in common. So when we have to, so medically it's been decided, it's been proven which one in the family is adopted. So whenever I have to tease her, we know that she's the one who has been adopted. So on the one hand, it's confused some of our relationships. On the other hand, it's given greater clarity to some of my other relationships. Of course, I'm only joking. There is only just a 1 in 4 chance that you will be a match with one of your siblings, which is where I am actually lucky because I did end up finding a match. And therefore, I managed to get my treatment on time, on schedule, and therefore with a greater chance of getting cured. A lot of other people, unfortunately, are not as lucky. Like I said, 75% people are not able to find a match within the family. What then happens is they have to go to an external donor, external registry, where a lot of them do find a donor. Many of them don't find a donor. And a lot of them who do find a donor find it so late that by that time, that the disease has relapsed. So there is one appeal that I can make to everyone over here is please go ahead and donate and volunteer to donate your bone marrow. You might end up saving a life. It is a slightly painful procedure, but there are absolutely no complications. It's as straightforward as donating your blood. Anyways, and like I said, absolutely no long-term side effects. Me, unfortunately, not so lucky. I did have a lot of side effects, like I just said. Another side effect that I did have was biologically now I've become a woman. I will explain that. So men are characterized by having XY chromosomes, while women are characterized by having XX chromosomes. And because my sister was my match, I'm carrying her chromosomes, which are XX chromosomes, which means biologically now I am a woman. While the doctors tell me that these changes are purely theoretical and I will not start getting women characteristics or start getting women parts or something like that, I'm pretty sure that the women have started taking over my body. I've suddenly become a very bad driver. I've suddenly started loving gossiping. I've suddenly become a very good cook and plenty more things. I tend to even have occasional monthly mood swings. Don't worry, I'm just joking. Please don't take offense. Like I said, those were hard times where we had to look for jokes and just look for things to be happy about. Anyways, apart from those side effects, I can say it's not so bad, I can say that being a cancer patient, being a cancer survivor, being a bone marrow transplant survivor has come with some of its benefits too. One of those, and if there are any children, I think they should close their ears, is adult pornographic material. So unfortunately, one of the side effects of chemotherapy for a male is that it's very difficult after chemotherapy to have children naturally. So what the doctors will encourage you before your chemotherapy starts is to donate, is to bank your sperm, basically store it in a deep freeze at the hospital. And whenever you want to have a kid, through that process. What that meant was that was probably the only time in my life where my parents did not beat me up for watching pornographic material. In fact, they encouraged it. And they actually encouraged me to watch more of it so that I could bank more of my sperm. Another interesting fact about that is the responsibility for arranging that went to a friend of mine who, because of time constraint, because of a lack of resources at that point of time, arranged it on an office laptop. And that was probably the only time in the history of this world where an employee wasn't fired for having pornographic material in his office laptop. In fact, his bosses encouraged him to download it using the office internet, because that would be much faster and it would happen much quicker. The bosses, in fact, had a brainstorming session before that over what would yield the best results. Another benefit is that you can get away with lots and lots of traffic violations. I'm sure you're aware that after chemotherapy, you lose almost all the hair on your body. You can tend to look a little frail. My family and my friends made sure that they made use of it as much as possible. My sister got out of at least 2 traffic violations by simply taking my name, that मेरा भाई hospital में है, सिर्फ 25 साल का है, मैं उससे मिलने जा रही हूँ. And I think she got out of at least 2 traffic violations. A couple of my friends got out of even more violations when I was with them in the car, simply by showing them my face and that they're taking me to the hospital. I myself got out of a couple of traffic violations. So yeah, there are these benefits. Another thing is that you end up becoming a real man. Now I can't generalize that across the board. So while on the one hand, I become a female biologically, one side effect of my transplant is that I have dry eyes, which means I can never cry, which in effect means that I have become a real man, because real men don't cry. Again, please don't take offense, this is a joke. Another benefit, if I could say, of this transplant was that for that 1 to 2 year period where I was going through this treatment, I kind of felt like a rock star and almost like a stand-up comedian, because your friends and your people who are close to you, they don't want you to feel bad. Therefore, they have to laugh at even at your worst jokes, even at everything you say. So for a while, you're like, maybe I can make this a career because all my jokes are so funny. Apart from that, I could say that the best in people shines through during that point of time. Jokes aside, if anything, if there is one meaningful benefit that we can derive out of battling cancer or battling any such hardship, is that the best in people does shine through. For me, there was a realization into how much and how many people cared about me. The adversity brought me closer to so many people. Times like these bring out the best in people. People want to surround you and share your pain. People want to be there for you and do everything they can to make you feel loved and cared for. You realize that so many people are fighting this with you, and you find the best version of people that there can be. You get closer to so many people because, like I said, the best version of people shines through, because people can end up caring for you more than you can imagine, because you are emotionally vulnerable at that point of time, and so are the people close to you. And because of that, you are the truest version of yourself. You don't create versions of yourself that you want people to perceive. You don't build these walls. You don't play games the way you have done in the past. Because these games are pretty much silly. The only thing that matters in life is to live and to be happy, to do things you love and to say things that you want to do. Being vulnerable is not a weakness. It can be a strength. And for that, like I said, I came closer to so many people, discovered so many people cared for me. And these are the people that you want to be close to and you never want to let go. I'll conclude by just a couple of points. I'm not a model of positivity. I didn't breeze past any of these problems like they were nothing. I still have my bad days. I still feel the side effects of my treatment and everything that it led to. But hey, you know what? I'm here. I'm here to do the things that I love, the things that I mentioned about. I'm here to exchange some fun conversations with the people that I'm close to. At least I hope they are. At least I hope they're fun. I'm here to share some of these stories with you, and hopefully some of them are at least 1% motivating, and that probably will be good enough for me. And that is how we can at least begin to bounce back through all of our problems. We all will have challenges. There is probably no one who will not have problems in life, but maybe through all of this, we can begin to overcome these. To conclude, another quote that from my father that really touched me when I was going through my chemotherapy and my bone marrow transplant. We consider the river to be one of those really fast-moving objects of nature. Yet, it also faces the most obstacles from its source, where you can just leap over it, you can just jump over it. It comes down, it faces rocks, it faces landslides, it faces mountains, it faces everything. Now it faces the largest of dams. All you can do is delay its path. All you can do is make it divert a little from its path, but you can never stop it from reaching its ultimate destination. That's about it for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tapas. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I think if you are planning a career as a stand-up comic, the delivery might need a little bit of work, but I think you have great jokes. Besides me thanking you, Burrett sir messaged me separately to ask to come back. So, sir, if you would want to say something to Tapas, this would be a great place.
Yes, Shubhayu. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Yeah, Tapas, it is such a wonderful experience to hear you and see you after all these years. Let me tell the people who are listening in that the Biala family, Tapas and his father and his sisters, were synonymous with mountains, mountaineering, and adventure. And I think all the children are either on the Limca Book of World Records or in the Guinness or something or the other, because they were climbing mountains, as Tapas says, as young as 12. Tapas, I have to, all kudos to you for your courage. But what I noticed most was your sense of humor. You have learned through your misfortune and through your struggles that you got to look at life a little more lightheartedly. Take life as it comes. People like you live life from one day to the other, and that is what gives you that beautiful charm that you have now. The other thing is that having been taken to the brink, the edge of the precipice almost, and being shown over, and then recovering, it just gives you not only that sense of resilience, it gives you the zest for life. You savor each day as it